to, Donna? What you been up to?
Mm, just kind of reflecting and simmering on.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. When you mentioned in the comment, it's just application. It's always good to get time for just to kind of lock into things and to consolidate them and you know apply them. They have that time and opportunity for the practice. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you go, well, for me anyway, I went through a phase of intense study and the
Right.
intellectual aspect of it, and then you kind of sort through what
Right.
resonates, and then you reach a point where the application is happening in so many different ways. And that's why I was saying, like, the Zoom sessions are great, and they're very enjoyable, and I was thinking there's so many ways during the day for the application as well. Uh,
Yes.
and that's
Yeah.
all good.
And that's the excitement. That's absolutely the excitement. Just in terms of switching from always looking to at some point switching to application, right?
Right.
And there's so much to apply in such a daily basis. It's very interesting. There's just the stuff that comes up. I uh, I've been thinking also just in terms of motivation and where it comes from, which I find very interesting for me. I have very little internal motivation where like I really feel like I want to do some this stuff. Sometimes maybe okay a little bit here and there, but nothing major. Usually for me, the motivation it kind of comes externally. You know, I don't know. I don't
And
know how
okay,
that. I don't know how. It's just a personal observation. just something that I was thinking about. So I don't know how that
so
applies to
where
you
the,
and how it
the
connects to you. Say again.
I was just thinking too about where the group is, and kind of like in getting on Zoom today, and I um I don't really know. I don't have a clear picture of like where we are as a group and what we're moving.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, me neither, really. Sorry, I know that doesn't sound very encouraging, but um, same a little bit. In the sense that from a group point of view, well, Bina finishes tomorrow, so at least we'll get back to connecting with Bina, and then we can continue going through all the sessions like we wanted to, or like we started. Right, we'll just continue with that. She's keen also. So I'm not sure if she'll be available tomorrow for the Biella reading or not. But anyway, at least the day after, we'll make an effort to get back to that. Other than that, Erica, it's just Christmas time, lots going on. She did message me and say, and she's also ending her job, and so it's lots of extra work stuff that she's got going on. So she did message me yesterday or day before, just to say, um, that she's busy and is connected and wants to stay connected. So the group is important to her. Sure, I speak to kind of regularly, or not kind of, but pretty regularly. We spoke yesterday, day before. So she's in just busy app applying. Um, Usually she comes on while she's kind of working in between at odd times. Um, um, and usually in the mornings, I guess. Uh, so, um, so it's kind of odd the timing, and it hasn't overlapped like in evening times for you or anything like that. But and then Vina tomorrow. Other than that, others that came and that are joined or technically part of the group, just no extra energy or momentum. And I don't feel like I want to push people and say, hey, where you at? Maybe occasionally I send out the emails. People see those, or at least you hope they do. I doesn't always know if they do or not. So um, so one just has to wait and see. A little bit. Um, to see what's going on. I don't know exactly how it is with people. That I find kind of interesting in terms of how the energy and the motivation for doing is. Uh, it's interesting to me, like you are motivated for personal learning and growth and for application, and Bina is, and Sure is. Sure is doing that other thing, and that's kind of not going wildly anywhere. She's not getting very.
What other thing?
Well, it started with Miles as one group, and then there was another group, and so
Ah,
I don't want to necessarily be specific,
I
but
gotcha.
it's just kind of a bit of a headless chicken situation. Let's put it that way. Grand ideas with little substance. Yeah, I don't want to be harsh, but that's unfortunately the reality. Um,
Sometimes it just is what it is.
yeah, yeah. I that's what I'm saying. I value and treasure the opportunity and the ability to just say things for what they are, and not, like I was saying before, not having to pay attention to capital D diplomacy. Um, but I don't want to say, if I can help it, I avoid saying stuff about that's mm, well, awful truths, I guess. So, it's one thing for sure to say she's in the program. That's fine. But anyway, so she's well, that ends at the end of the month. But even now that it's there, she got a lot out of it. Um, not from the program itself, but from applying the way of impeccability inside the program. So she had a huge session. Just it was really cool. Just really too. We spoke about some stuff, and then she went and applied it, and it was huge for her. It was very empowering. It was a big shift for her. So very exciting in that sense. Very, very
That's
exciting.
good.
Yeah. So I'm still on the question of answering where people are at in terms of
I
what.
don't know. That was really the only pressure that I had, was just sort of thinking through um, the way of impeccability, and for me, where I'm at with that and the group, and
Right.
the energy management side of things, and
Yes. Yes.
where's the momentum, and where are we
Right.
going. And
Right.
at one point we seemed to be like really kind of flowing in a momentum and a direction, and then
Yes.
it shifted, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's
Right.
all about
Right.
awareness and growing. So
Right.
I just was kind of curious from your perspective. You would know better than I.
Right, right. No, I love the question. It's a very powerful question, and the implications from the question is that a group dynamic, or the group dynamic, and also just what's happening in the group is something that is of some measure of importance to you, and that makes me very happy.
Mm.
That to hear that from that this is, hey, where's the group at, and the group dynamic. For me, in this type of thing, where we at in terms of a group growth, like Sher came, and Christina came, they drove together, they met up in Oklahoma at Erica's place. Sher's in Nebraska. um, Christina is in Houston, Texas. So that was quite a something to do, and not just something casual like, okay, you all live in a similar city, you get together, okay, no big deal. I mean, this is halfway across the country. So anyway, so they met up at Erica's. They only were there for a night. And then they drove here, and then from here to California, and then back to here, back from here, then they went back, right? But still, yeah, it was kind of like a week, or I think slightly less than a week even. But anyway, so I'm just saying, so Sher and Christina are, have a deep connection, obviously, from doing this together. It's a very intimate and connecting experience. And yet, Christina said a couple of times, when we started and she connected to the group, I reached out to her. Yes, okay, she joined once or twice, or at least where I had a one-on-one session with her. And then I said, okay, next session this time, and I put the link in chat, kind of a reminder. I do that when people are new, and then if you're not following up on that, after half a dozen, well, then I stop doing it. Because I don't want to be a pain. And if you do that too, I just find longer term, if you kind of always reminding people, after a while they feel so backed up and they feel so guilty about it that they just unhook completely because of that guilt. It's a peculiar thing. It's very peculiar. So I said to Sher, hey, Christina can come, just when you come onto a session, just message her. I'd rather have it come via, that kind of the close. She's closer to Christina than I am. And so that way it's not like me always coming at it. I don't want to be on people's backs, like I said, because I've seen this before. Then they kind of feel obligated and they feel guilty for not fulfilling their obligations. And when they feel guilty and stuff happens, whatever, then they just end up quitting entirely. And then it's like they want nothing to do with it. And I've seen this in many, like in the guilds, in the games, for instance, in any group activity that's voluntary. If people feel pressure to do, that's where the no expectations and no obligations kind of came from, by the way. I really saw how that really pressured, really earnest, good people who were the ones that basically kind of did everything in the guilds or of any volunteer group. You can see this in your volunteer groups. You have people that do everything, and and then they can't for some reason, and then they start feeling guilty that they're not fulfilling their obligations and their expectations, and then they just quit eventually.
Mm.
Have you seen that in the volunteer groups?
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, that's just a fact of life. I mean, that's
right. But if you remove that expectation and obligation and say, do only as little or as much as you like. Mm-hmm. This, and I actually applied this in a guild that I ran, and we had very low turnover just because of that. And typically in volunteer groups there's very high turnover, so there was a substantial, remarkable difference. And the players specifically commented on it to say how much they enjoyed it and how much they liked it, and how cool that was. So I try and make the same point, in this group,
Mm-hmm.
But there's a bit more in this particular group, a bigger perspective, because we aren't just doing stuff for fun and games, or okay, charity is important, it's not for fun and games, but still, it's an additional activity in your life. It's not something that you have to do, right? Or at least to some degree,
But I gotcha. Well, everything's like, it seems to shift, and I'm not trying to be nosy about the Ryan situation, but you did mention, so I know that there was something there.
Oh, I'll get to that in a moment. I'm going down the list. Okay, sure. So I'm making a little digression here.
Okay.
Sorry, I just wanted
that's okay. Oh. I gotta go soon.
I just wanted to say, of things that are important, for you and me and Bina and Sher right now, and Erica, the learning and the growing, in other words, the way of impeccability and everything. This is important. There isn't a higher priority really than the application of all this stuff, right? Now, whether it's way of impeccability or not, doesn't matter. There's nothing more important than the personal growth, right?
Right.
And that's the key point. So that I want to make here in terms of realness. Those that are for me and the group. You asked, where's the group at? I'm very selective in terms of this. If somebody doesn't have that inner drive, I open the door, and then I'll make an effort on my point. But it's not up to me whether you're in the group or not. It's up to you.
Right.
Right.
Right. Oh,
yes. If you cause a problem, if you are a problem for the group or potential problem for the group, then it is up to me. Yes. And That's a responsibility I take very seriously. And, that's been part of the stress for sure in her group, that they have a BMN in the group. And it's made the whole group miserable. It's basically, almost leading to the group imploding. Or it has to a certain extent. Sure is making an effort to kind of bring it back up. But nonetheless, commitment ends at the end of this month, and then she'll be out. So it's stuff like that are very important in group dynamics. So I'm very careful and I'm very restrictive. So how long do you have?
Oh, I have to go in a little bit. I just really wanted to two
Oh,
things. Check in and see where we were on the group and if we're still gonna do tomorrow. And then I
yes.
wanted to ask, I feel as though the learning and the intellectual part is sort of in place and the foundation is pretty solid within myself. That's how I feel. And
Yes.
I also feel like I want to understand more of how the universe works. And the most current example, just to throw out there so you understand where I'm coming from, is we had to interview for a position and in the receptionist position. And it feels as though what's going on in my world are people that I interact with pretty consistently, like my boss, my neighbor, my kids, my grandchildren. They are a reflection of what's going on within myself dramatically. And even to the point where the people that I interviewed, for example, they each
Wow.
they each were almost like a reflection of different jobs I've had. Like the first person was when I was very much dark and in bubbles and narcissistic and just miserable. And like she could have been me years ago. And then the next person I interviewed was maybe the next job, which was about a year and a half down the road, where I went through the divorce court, like I was telling you about, and she started talking about the exact same thing and kind of how, that
Wow,
unfolded for
Donna.
her.
Wow.
And then
Wow.
the next person was a couple of years down the road, and about like different positions you've had and how they reflect, kind of where you are internally. And I
Why?
think
Why?
back sometimes on different jobs and how that reflection of what's going on inside affects what's manifesting in your external world and that whole court drama and all that stuff. So anyway, I feel as though there's almost like some kind of also the reverse of that, of just keeping control of my thoughts and being a master of my own thoughts, and then not necessarily worrying about the details of how my dreams are going to unfold, but still holding on to my dreams. Because I went
Hmm.
through a phase where I was like, oh, whatever happens, happens, and I'm just going to show up every day. And that doesn't work for me. I still have
Why?
to,
Why?
I still have desires, and quite frankly, I still have expectations on situations, and I guess kind of some outline of how I would like my world to look, but I'm just not worried about the details, and I'm trusting in God, universe, source
Why?
within
Why?
in within that on how those details are going to unfold, and the timing of things and what will be revealed. I feel as though I'm getting glimpses though that people are almost like individual people that are around me also are holding space somehow for the good things that are happening. It's almost like there's I don't know, like the best way to put it is like this big mound of gifts that you've thought of that are really, really important to you, that you feel strongly about. Like I have learned um, over the last year or so that I don't need anyone, and the freedom that came in that. And I also have learned that I am enough and I am a lot more than that. And understanding that will come. I just have to have patience. And those types of things are like gifts that are in these boxes, and even material things like, wouldn't it be nice if you could have a big enough house where you could have workshops and things right in
Yeah.
your own home?
Yeah.
So I think those things, And then, sure enough, somebody in my inner circle will be like, hey, I'm going to buy land and da 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 da. My best friend, I just talked to her the other day, and she's buying this land, and it's like exactly what I was picturing as far as land and how this house could be built on the land. And so it's almost like
Wow.
they hold space for the good and well, there is no good and bad, but I don't know another word for things that I aspire to, and also lessons that I've learned that I've acknowledged.
Wow.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of like these two piles. Yes, she's learned this and mastered this, and this is good, and this is behind her pile. And then there's this, yes, these are aspirations and dreams, and I'm going to hold this space so that it can happen. And like you said, with the people around you, and I've been thinking a lot about what you said, in that I'm able to observe situations like the friend of a friend who's going through the court.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
really have thought a lot about that, because
Oh, it's very powerful.
that's what these situations are doing.
Yes.
They're allowing me to look at things without having it to be my thing.
Yes, it's to relive it with detached perspective.
Right.
And to come to resolution and come to peace, because you are now doing it from this external perspective. And it's so profound. It is so huge.
And the only thing that you said that doesn't resonate with me, and I don't know why, I just have a persistent feeling that the individual people, not everyone, but there are certain individual people that are aware. They have a level of consciousness, and they are aware, and they literally have a mission in life to help people like me resolve these types of things through deliberate kind of presentation of it in a third party, so it can be resolved. I do feel like that. I don't know why I
Oh,
do. I
I
just
love it.
really
Now, I
do.
was, that's interesting that you started. You said that something I said that doesn't resonate with you, and then you said that you feel like there's people that are aware, and I'm not sure what I said in that regard.
Well, when I ask directly, the question is what I'm speaking of. Are these people that are, bringing this scenario, like the person that brought the scenario that's involved with this other person that's going through the court, the person I know, not the like distant third party, but the person I know well,
Uh-huh.
I know is aware at some level that their mission is to help people wake up consciousness.
Interesting. And when you talk about this mission, this is a personal thing. Are they part of another system of being? Community. I'm looking for more.
I don't know. I
No.
don't know. I just have a knowing that they have an awareness, like almost like I feel as though they're like I have this deep sense, and I don't know if it's because of things I read or if it's my knowing. And so I'm trying to sort it out and not regurgitate other knowings. But I know that there is a situation, and I feel strongly about it. And I have before I even started reading stuff, that we can't continue as humanity the way we're going. And I've always felt like there's going to be certain people, certain humans, certain beings here. Some are going to be human, and I've always felt like some aren't. There are other types of entities out there, and I don't know what they are, and I don't know where they come from, or if it's just my imagination, and I could be totally wrong. It's just this feeling that I have that's very
Yeah.
strong
Yeah.
about individuals or beings or entities helping other people, so we wake up to the truth of who we are, that source is within us, that there isn't this separation, and that we bring heaven right where we are, and that there's this false notion that you have to die, when really death is the birth of the heaven. But I also feel like you don't even have to do that anymore. There's going to be
Yeah.
another alternative
Yeah. I
of,
feel the same way actually.
yeah, that you
Oh,
can
sorry. That's why
experience.
when you said it didn't
I'm
resonate with
getting
you.
there.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
getting there.
Sorry.
So 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 this new way of being is a choice, right? And I feel like those people have made the choice already, and they're helping others that have potential or have
Interesting.
cried out that they want to make that
That
choice,
have
or
set the intent, really.
right, has said, I want to do this. Okay. So when I asked, are these people aware, and do they know that they're actually, aware of the situation we're talking about and they're helping you? Your answer was they weren't aware. It was just the universe.
Okay. I have to pause you there a second. I didn't know you were talking about that. I thought you were talking about like people on Facebook and that. Well, maybe there are some of them, but I was just talking about more ordinary people that sound aware but aren't necessarily aware. And Mary's a good example. I mean, I love
That's
Mary,
so
and she will
funny.
say the same thing. But Mary has an ability to, she speaks in meme. So whatever gets said, she has an ability to like make a comment that's most appropriate, and it's really cool. And it's a very a nice comment, but it creates an impression of an awareness and a sophistication that isn't actually there. Now
That's
she's
so
aware of
funny
this
you
also.
brought that's so funny you brought up Mary, because I even thought to myself, man, she always comes back like she's the teacher. And I'm
Right.
using that word deliberately.
Correct. And so hopefully we'll get on sessions more with Mary, and you will get to see what I'm saying.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
Oh, okay.
I am fully aware of what you were
Right.
saying.
So that was that was what I was referring to at the time.
Ah,
Uh, uh, you
okay.
know, so I in terms of the people that you are talking about, I don't know who that is, and I don't have a direct connectivity to them, so
Right.
I don't have a way to comment necessarily on them. Now, I would like to know and meet such people. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
they've been invited, so we'll see.
okay,
See how
okay.
it unfolds.
I mean, I'm very keen. Now, I have two questions. So, in terms of the people that you meet with, that you can know and connect with, that you feel are this way, who've in some way shifted, who are in some way, not the usual normalness that we do, right? They either in another dimension, from another dimension, or they're in another awareness space. They don't necessarily have to be in another dimension or aliens or anything like this, but they
Right.
can just be where they are aware, and they are doing stuff more deliberately, and they have abilities and connectivities and energies that that aren't ordinary, right? That's kind of what
Like
you say.
you. Like you, like Elivia, like Gina.
Okay,
That
but
I
I
feel
still
like that
feel like,
about you three.
right, but I mean, saying for us three, I still feel like we just ordinary people that have maxed what we are in this particular world.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, I know for me personally. Okay, and that's why I'm asking on this. So first, let me start with what I feel just in a normal, usual thing, right? Um, that I just I don't feel like I have any special powers, any special abilities. Yes, okay, patience is a superpower. Hearing is a superpower, and discernment. Yes, I have skills like that, but those aren't skills and abilities that I feel are outside of the normal. Anybody can develop them and acquire them. Of this, I'm absolutely sure, right? And that's what the way of impeccability is about. So, everything that I am is simply, what's in the way of impeccability, nothing more. However, for the longest time, feel like I could possibly be something that I'm not aware of, in like a second attention, heightened awareness, whatever. Don Juan speaks about this in some way. So I do feel like there is some possibility that there is a moreness to me, or otherness, not necessarily a moreness, that I'm involved in some activity in the second attention that I don't remember in this one, and stuff like that. Now, maybe those people are in the same way. They exist and interact and do stuff, somewhere else, but don't necessarily remember it, or they do remember it because there is absolutely a possibility to remember it. So this is something that it's a big deal. It's a very big question to me.
Yeah, it is to me too.
Okay, and there's more involved in this. And I'll say in a second here. Um, in this that
Mm.
okay, so in the whole Don Juan thing. Well, let me start off with this. To me, I'm an anomaly. And I was since age 10. When I started that and I started thinking about things, and I don't know, some trivial comments started this. It's like, I don't know, maybe something like, okay, where did it start? But it was revolved around taking credit for your accomplishments. And and that's what got me thinking on it. And I said, well, you know what? I'm doing stuff that is unordinary and I'm aware of it, but I can't take any credit for it. And I like, okay, where did it start? And maybe I'm not sure which the timeline is, which came first and which came second, but I kind of thought like, okay, well, what started it? Where did it come from? And then I just kept going back, and then I realized that, well, I just had these awarenesses which came to me, and I basically came out of the box that way. So I don't know how to take credit for that. I don't know. You see my point? So I just unhooked from the whole ego thing of who I am. Okay, yes, I've made an effort to maximize those and work on stuff, but I'm taking credit for work, essentially, for diligence and thoroughness and scrupulous and thinking things through to the end. I don't know. To me, it's like no big deal. So, but the point is, though, I'm still an anomaly because I had a lot of awarenesses right out of the box that were profound, really sophisticated, big deal awarenesses that completely transformed my entire life, right? So in this case now, this was a very big deal for me. And, I really pay attention to that. And I have to pay attention to it in a very big way. So what I'm saying is that I don't always know exactly where the stuff comes from. I have no idea, and this is a big mystery. So in the context of what you were saying, so in Don Juan's whole lineage, right? There's a lineage of that. He learned from um, his benefactor. That's the word he uses. His benefactor and his benefactor learned from his, and there's a lineage that goes down, right? And this lineage goes back, I don't know, hundreds of years, even if not longer. Anyway, it's a big deal. So in that lineage, there is an anomaly in the lineage, and they call him the traveler, right? And this particular individual is I forget the whole long story. I'm gonna have to go and read it up again. That's why I want to go over this stuff with you, because at the time I didn't specifically think this, but lately I have, for I don't know, stuff that just came and happened and came through. So anyway, so this traveler is they exist outside of the usual physicality, and they make agreements with the sorcerers in that lineage of Don Juan. I don't know if he was part of it, and then somehow he ended up in a non-physical reality. But anyway, he makes an energy agreement with them, and he gives them knowledge in return for energy. Insight, learning, and all that, right? So it's a trade-off that he has. And it allows him to exist and continue his existence in this particular way. All right?
What does he get out of it?
The energy to continue his existence in that form. Okay.
In what form?
A non-physical form. Yeah, I don't know the exactness of the details. I forget the details exactly, the form. But anyway, it's an arrangement that's a trade-off for knowledge and learning and other things too. Maybe some special gifts. I don't know, but in return for energy from them, right? So it's a direct trade-off. But it does allow him to continue existing in whatever the form that he is, which is an unusual, non-regular format. All right. Now, here's the key, though. Right. Take all of that and put it together. Okay, you've got this entity, this person, this being in the lineage that is an anomaly in the lineage, and there's this trade-off between energy and this. Now, that particular entity's name is Sebastian.
Right. You told me that
I
before.
told you this. Right. So, I never made that. Yes, it was interesting at the time, but I never thought specifically that, I may have made an arrangement with that. And now I'm saying, well, how and when did I make this as a child? This would have had to be, wow. I mean, I had some, like, at my first year at school, and it was right. So at 6 years old, I already had a profound insight. So it would have had to be sometime before 6 years old, or at 6 years old. I that That's just very, very powerful to me. It's very interesting perspective, to think of it that way. So I don't know, or in some way I'm connected to this. I don't know. That's what I'm trying to say. There's just this possibility has reared up and become something that I'm thinking about. So I don't know, Donna. It's just an intriguingness to this. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to know. I want to know how the universe works more than I do.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I feel like we're in this kind of an unawareness bubble where we just kind of like, I don't know. We need to be in a different reality, as it were, or different mind environment that where this stuff is more clear and more obvious. I don't know. I just kind of feel a bit lost in this stuff sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah.
you too.
Yeah, I'm not sure. When I first started the workshops, the emphasis and the takeaways and things were on one level, and now they're just on a way different level.
Right, right.
And
Now,
it's really hard for me to like articulate it, and I'm just really, I just really, there is no false humility.
I.
I just don't understand
Me
because
neither. Me neither.
it
Okay. So I want to say something very important that in terms of the way of impeccability, you and me particularly, our interactions have shifted to a whole other environment.
right.
All the conversation that we've had, that's not part of the original way of impeccability. Now, of course,
No,
there's nothing that's a limitedness because of attunement being in there. So, because attunement is in there, that makes everything open, right?
right.
So this is coming about from attunement, but it's not. It's not actually part of standard curriculum, if you want to put it that way, because this is moreness. This is kind of got speculation in it. This is exploration, and only with you do I do this, Donna.
Yeah, I mean it's
Because
unique. It's
you
what people would say to me that I was, pretty out there and crazy and stuff, and
right,
I'm okay
but
with
I don't
that.
care what people say, and you're not out there and crazy. And this I know is an absolute fact. There's no doubt about that one way or the other.
Yeah.
So, but again, we're talking about stuff in which there's not a great deal of clarity when it comes to things like impeccability and patience and mood management and habit management. That stuff there I have clarity on. There I kind of feel like, okay, this is self-evident sensibilities. This is worked out. It's not my opinion. That's it. And I'm quite happy to communicate that because it's not about opinion. So, all right, life is easy. I'm good. No problem. Right. However, when it comes to the stuff we're talking about now, I just think of it as the Don Juan stuff to a sense. But okay, it's not only him, but when
Well, Rose, you said kind of is.
right, but Rose is she looks to me to give her connectivity there. She thinks I'm a sorcerer. As far as she's concerned, I'm a sorcerer. So
I can see that.
yeah, no, okay, I can see that also. But I'm a sorcerer who doesn't see in Don Juan's lingo. So that's why I want to do this with you, because that's what Don Juan said. He said, yes, there are sorcerers who don't see and they can do a lot, but without seeing, you're kind of a bit lost. And I think that's the issue for us. We don't in Don Juan's, see, it's always like italicized, and for him, seeing was directly perceiving energy.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
Right, and that's the key.
I'd like to.
Yeah, same year, absolutely.
Well,
So
that's kind of. I still want to do the modules with Bina because
oh yeah, oh yeah,
um, I
oh
get
yeah,
the
oh yeah,
energy going. I think is really
oh
beneficial,
yeah,
and it's
oh yeah,
very mutually beneficial. I
oh
think
yeah,
we all flow really well.
absolutely, and she's very keen too. Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
And then I'd like to just kind of move towards, and I like the BLS series to bring the group into the frame of mind that
right.
there is the possibility of a world out there that's beautiful like
Yes, yes, yes. Now the
that, and to
Biella
start
series,
seeing it.
that reading, it does connect to more than just the group. So I
Right.
do enjoy doing it. So
And
I
then
will I
maybe
will I
exploring
will
this a
set
little
that
further.
event. Say again.
And then exploring our conversation. I got to go. I got to pick up my
Right.
grandson.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
We'll talk tomorrow. So yeah, I'll see you for the reading tomorrow then. Brilliant.
yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah.
Yeah, because
And
like
I
last
just
week
wanted
when,
to
when
throw
I,
out
I did
that.
it just with Bina, I did it a little differently. So instead of everybody reading, I'll tell you tomorrow. I'll tell you tomorrow. Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
All right. All right. Brilliant. I love it. All right. All right. Bye bye.
Talk
Bye
to you
bye.
tomorrow.
Yeah. Talk to you tomorrow. Magical. Magical.